All right, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another video, and thank you for joining me. Today we're working on my 24 Road Glide, and that is because, just as the title states, I ended up having a subscriber cost me some money. In the last video, we did a chain conversion and a Baker compensator. Along with that, I mentioned that I wanted to do an alloy art chain tensioner. Ends up making it much easier to spend more time riding and less time always keeping your chain perfectly tensioned, because it takes that kind of guesswork out for you. It's nice for longer trips and just riding in general, right? So I had a subscriber comment when I said that and say, hey, I have one, ended up going a different route. If you want to buy it from me, I'll sell it to you cheaper than new. So I ended up doing so, and that means we have one to install. Along with that, I actually ended up purchasing some more parts from Alloy Art. I already have some of their stuff, but there was some stuff that I was kind of holding off on, and I figured now is a good time to just do it all at once. So I ended up purchasing a rear engine mount, some good and tight bushings for the rear swing arm, which we will not be installing today, but we'll take a look at them and talk about it, and a couple other little things. So get over to the workbench and we'll get things rolling here. All right, so as I was saying, we have some sweet pieces from Alloy Art here. If you haven't heard of them, they make a lot of like race bred stuff. So we're talking like billet, Heim joint engine mounts, billet aluminum, pillow blocks for your swing arm. So like this is like probably a pound at least lighter, which, for a race bike that ends up, kind of adding up to a lot. So as you can see, it's nicely machined out, and it's just way lighter than the steel ones that are stock, right? In addition, we have that chain tensioner, really nice, all milled out, well thought out design, multiple mounting locations for your spring mount so that you can have the proper tension. They do have two different spring sizes, so we've got that as well. The passenger floorboard mount has to actually be notched out to fit up against this arm here. So we will be doing that as well. Touring stabilizer. This is a rear engine mount. Rear mount for the engine. Yeah, so these M8 engines are rubber mounted in the frame. You've got that one mount in the front, and then you've got one in the rear. I guess two, it's one going all the way through, but a rubber mount on each side. But one in the rear, one in the front, and then one up top, the time jointed that you can usually see, right? So when you're high-speed cornering and stuff like that, when you start to get that like little oscillation going around a corner at like 90, that's a combination of things, right? That'll be your swing arm, that'll be frame flex, subframe flex, and obviously suspension, limitations. So upgraded suspension helps. The other aspect of that is also what they call motor flop. So your engine will actually rock in the frame. And once it starts oscillating like that, it'll actually kind of bounce against, its stops in the frame. And it won't stop until you either speed up or slow down or kind of work your way through that critical vibration period. It's not a huge deal. It's, we're splitting hairs here and we're talking performance stuff, but about 90, if my bags are loaded up and I have the suspension set for like, 2 up, and I just don't have my girlfriend on that day, so it's a little bit stiffer in the rear, I do end up getting that oscillation from time to time. And I figured, hey, I've seen quite a few people run this and have good results with it. It does not really increase vibration by much, because you're not like, switching to like a polyurethane bushing from a softer rubber bushing. You're just adding another Heim jointed place that the frame and the engine are kind of stiffened up as one. So it's advertised here that it prevents frame flex, frame wobble, and controls motor oscillation, improves handling and overall safety. Topside mounting design, so it's very easy to install. We just have this bracket here, 2 bolts, goes into the starter bolt location, so they are longer, so you get new ones for that. Heim jointed, and both aluminum piece that so that's that. In addition to that, we have some good and tight bushings from Alloy Art. This is going to be that same green polyurethane material as the cush drive that I have from them, and these go in addition to your stock swing arm mounts. So these actually slip in. I'll show you what that looks like on the bike. and it really stiffens up the rear swing arm. If you have your bike up on a lift and grab the rear wheel, you can actually flex it back and forth because your rear swing arm is attached to that engine mount. And so everything kind of moves a little bit. And it's not a big deal. For touring, you want that, less vibration and comfort. But when it comes to wanting to be a little bit more performance handling type of situation, that is a great improvement. But you need to keep in mind that when you do switch to polyurethane bushings or add those to the combination, you are going to be feeling a bit more vibration from your entire drivetrain. Anything that transmits through your engine, floorboards, frame, you're going to feel that a little bit more. So I have heard nothing but good results in terms of handling, but also that you do expect more vibration. So also, almost forgot to mention, those forged carbon pieces that you guys saw in the last video, those taillight housings and the bag latches are on the bike. I thought about filming that with you guys, but honestly, there was a lot of time that went into installing those taillight housings. I had to drill the holes in the fender. I had to file down the actual taillight housing because I wanted it to be a little bit more inset than they were stock. Stock, they kind of like stuck out a little bit past the bag, which I didn't like. So I really wanted to fine tune and get that perfectly dialed in. So I spent like a few hours really doing that, and that would have just been monotonous to try to film. So I listened to music instead, and hopefully you guys don't mind, but I will show you what that looks like. It looks awesome. So we're back to the stock taillights with the forged carbon taillight housings. We've got the forged carbon bag latches on. They look sick. I had a subscriber in the last one ask what the story with these billet aluminum ones is. These are from Codeland. They're really, really cool. Aluminum, lightweight, actually heavier than the plastic ones that are OEM on these new bikes. But previously they were steel, so lighter than those ones were. But very nice quality stuff. You can buy them new from Codeland, or I'm gonna have this set for sale. I think they were almost 200 bucks. I'll sell them to somebody for 100 bucks. You may be wondering why my engine guard tip over protection does not have its crash pucks on the bike right now. That is because I ended up taking them off the bike. These are from Original Garage, and I ended up throwing these on a lathe and milling them out to kind of countersink them a little bit. I am preparing a big order of stuff that I'm gonna get powder coated black. So anything that I want to get powder coated or want to modify, I'm trying to do before I take everything to powder coat. That way everything's already done, right? So I wouldn't want to get these powder coated and then try to countersink this, right? So that's the story with all of that. Random stuff, I know, but just keeping you guys in the loop. And we are waiting to throw this badass radiator guard on because I want to get it PPF'd first. Needs protection. It's a high impact area right underneath where, the front wheel just flies stuff up. So, and then I'll probably honestly wait until I get my 19-inch front wheel as well, because that black one does almost hit the front tire. And actually, I think sometimes it looks like it has, but I also haven't seen it do it when I just cycled suspension on the lift. So either way, this will be going on in the near future. It's very straightforward. So obviously that's not something that's going to be like a teaching moment, but I'll bring you guys along for that when we do. All right, so we've got the bike jacked up just high enough to where we're pretty much, we're weightless off of that rear wheel. Not sure if that's going to be necessary or not, but with this bushing being in here and the swing arm kind of being held in place by it, I really don't want to screw up the threads on these bolts trying to pull this thing out and find out that we should have taken it to weightless first. So 1/2-inch socket, 2 bolts here, back these guys out. And there we have it. So these good and tight bushings here are just an aluminum, milled out piece here, and then a little rubber bushing. And these actually go inside of this rubber bushing here. So these are pretty soft. If you had the engine running, you would see this kind of moving around a little bit. That's where your flex comes from. It can flex, about that amount. So putting this guy in there takes up all of that extra slack, and that's the whole premise of these guys. So when I do get my billet swing arm, I will end up installing these as well. All right, we've got some goodies here. So first is going to be our billet block. It is clocked in here just like the stock one. So, you know, obviously if you had it up in the air, it should just fit right over the top of the bushing. You could put a little bit of grease on there if you needed to, but yeah, no problem for us here. All right, so next up we have our chain tensioner. It's just going to sit right on top of the pivot block here. We have our spacer that's gonna go first, and then got a bolt here with red Loctite. All right, so that looks like we're still in the groove of the bushing there. So we're gonna get this bottom one started. Same thing, red Loctite on the bolt. And I don't know a specific torque spec for that. I could check, but 60 is gonna be about right for that. So we're gonna go 60 foot-pounds. So as you guys could see, this longer spring did absolutely nothing for the chain tensioner pressing up on the chain. I have heard that you need to order the shorter spring. Fortunately, I already have one it came with. So shorter spring is gonna go in. It's very straightforward. I'll bring you guys in and show you what that looks like. So up top here, we've got our pin that goes in between the tensioner here, and throw the spring on first. Slip it right in and run the bolt in. Got some blue Loctite on it. Got a little 5/30 seconds Allen here. And then we just run the tensioner up like so, and then our pin goes through there. So run the spring up, push the pin through, and put our clip in. All right, so as you guys just saw there, I was measuring how much material I'm going to have to take out of this floorboard mount here. Looks like it's not much. I'm gonna be able to just use my probably grinder flapper disc and just whittle away at it a little bit, and then probably use a file just to clean it up. And when we powder coat it, you'll never know. All right, well, after a bunch of grinding, we have it clearanced out enough to fit with the chain tensioner, and I will end up cleaning this up a little bit better, and you know, once it's powder coated, you'll never know. And I also, based on how much material I ended up taking, may end up welding just a little plate in here just to bring back the same amount of rigidity that it had before. It'll just be on the inside since I took all that material away. I'm sure it'd be fine. There's plenty here. As you guys saw in my previous videos, I actually custom made these, cut these in half, welded them, made them what they are so that they're different than stock sticking way out. Anyways, I trust it, but I'll probably still end up doing that prior to getting it powder coated. So anyways, it's clearanced. It's gonna fit just like so. Let's get this thing bolted up here. All right, so this is gonna be the same as stock. I mean, you've got your 4 mounting locations, and yeah, got Loctite on our bolts here. All right, well, as you can see, this thing looks awesome. You got your shorter spring in here. You've got your roller. All of these items are replaceable. Our chain tension is still well within, you know, not being sloppy, but it does just rest on it. So this is definitely going to help with when you let off the throttle, the chain slap, you know, nearing the frame and whatnot, and also just overall being able to be a little bit more out of adjustment without having problems. So hopefully that's going to minimize on, you know, chain tightening throughout like trips and stuff like that. So, all right, that was pretty quick and easy. It's going to serve a function and it looks badass. Speaking of, let's take a look at these forged carbon taillight housings. Well, I hope you guys like them. It's definitely a different look for the back of the bike, but it was kind of overdue. I got to the point where the Custom Dynamics taillights were, cool, but with the Rushmore style bikes, they looked better in my opinion. The saddlebags on the 24 Road Glides sit further back. That's how they were able to get more space out of them. But unfortunately, that kind of leaves this big blank area of like inside of the saddlebag, and it just didn't look very clean. I kind of went back and forth with it. Like, I like it, I don't like it. And yeah, I just got to the point where I was just ready for something else. And the 24 taillights are really what makes it obvious from the rear that it's a 24, and they're more modern looking. And obviously having the taillights be flush with the saddlebags means that I'll be able to be seen from the side a little better. So yeah, I really like the Custom Dynamics ones. Nothing against them. They held up well over almost 2 years. A little bit of hazing on the clear lenses, but nothing to write home about. But this is what we've got now. And like I said, I did have to drill 3 holes in the fender on both sides to have this made up. So probably not going to change from that, because then I'll have holes in the sides of my fender. So this is what we got. Hopefully you guys like it. I do. And let's check out these bag latches. So not much to these bag latch covers, but I did want to bring you guys in and show you them because they are extremely high quality. I have had stuff that's forged carbon in the past from various companies just not quite fit perfectly, or like edges are a little wonky, and these things just look like factory. They're super, super clean example of a forged carbon piece. So these are from Fat Boy Designs. I don't know them from Adam. They don't know me. I'm not paid to say it, just saying these things look good. They're the only company that I have found that sells these or makes these. Super easy install, 3 T15 or T20s on the inside of the bag lid, and that's it. So enough about that. Let's move on to this Alloy Art rear engine mount. So as I said, nice stainless hardware, Heim joints, quality stuff here. This piece here is going to go over our starter and get bolted up. And then this guy will go here like so. And then this guy will go to the frame. I am going to end up getting this piece powder coated. Black is an option, as you can see, but I didn't want the arm to be black. I wanted it to be polished, but I did want this to be black and this to be polished. I really like the raw aluminum look. That's why I have a bunch of that on my bike. So this is gonna get added to the powder coat pile. It's already got thread sealer on the hardware. We got a 9/16 and a 7/32. As I said, it is a Heim joint, so it is free to move around. And then obviously we have adjustability with the length as well, depending on what we need. So we need to remove our stock starter bolts, 1/4 inch Allen. So we've got our longer starter bolts, blue Loctite on them. I have the Heim joints loosened up so that I'm able to adjust the arm length once it's in there. And we're torquing these starter bolts to 24 foot-pounds. Next step is to adjust the arm length to where the hole is. All right, that is perfectly slacked to where it's not forcing anything. That's what we want right there. So that's gonna go in there like that. And then we just need to get our washer and nylock on the other side there. Okay, last thing that we want to make sure we do as we're tightening up the nuts that lock the Heim joints in place, we want to make sure that both Heim joints are centered in their swing. Normally it doesn't matter, like with your shift linkage and stuff like that, because it's both on a flat like this. So when you tighten them, just naturally they end up being able to rock and not being like this and then not being able to rock. But with this, one is facing one direction and one is facing almost 90 degrees the other direction. So you do want to watch out for that, just so that you have maximum amount of wiggle room still. All right, so now I can show you what I mean. You can see this heim joint is just about centered in its ability to flop one way or the other. We come to this side, and it's pretty damn close. I could have been a little bit square with it like that, but it's a little hard because as you tighten the jam nut here, it does rotate. So you're trying to hold this, and hold this, and you only got two hands. So anyways, it's pretty dang good there. You can see it's got the ability to move back and forth. That's all we're looking for there. So yeah, you can see the raw aluminum here, which I don't like, but I do like this. So as I said, this piece is going to get powder coated, which I think is going to look really good. It'll match this cover here and, you know, valve covers and whatnot. Now I will say I am noticing one thing that I don't love, and that is this hose here is just touching. It's not like, you know, crazy. I mean, it's like, it's really just barely touching, but over time, that could be a problem. Couple options. You could wrap this hose with some sort of protective material, or you can shave this bracket down. I'll probably end up doing that. I'll probably just take it right along there and up and over. I know that won't look, you know, the prettiest in the world compared to, you know, both sides matching, but really just don't love that. Like, that doesn't give me a warm fuzzy feeling. I guess I could just watch it and see if it starts to wear it all and then replace it. But this hose runs down and into the abyss down here, so I really don't want to have to try to change that. Actually, it's not too bad. It goes all the way down and under the frame and along. It gets clamped on just before the water pump. So it actually wouldn't be too hard to replace, but I could see Harley saying, oh yeah, it's gonna be back ordered for a week, and then it's back ordered for a month, and then it's back ordered longer. I've dealt with that, right? So, and this is a coolant hose. So if you blow that, you lose your coolant all over everything. Could you keep going a little ways? Yeah, these used to be air cooled, but I don't want that. So gonna keep an eye on it, probably trim it down before I powder coat it. It shouldn't really affect, you know, flex by much, if any at all. So that's gonna do it for this one. Nothing too crazy, just a little bit of tinkering. Hopefully made stuff better. This rear motor mount should aid in motor flop / a little bit stiffer frame feel without any added vibrations. I'll let you guys know when I know. And this Alloy Art chain tensioner, it's a pretty sweet deal. Looks like some cool race shit. It's aluminum, anodized, all milled out. Says made in USA, looks cool. And obviously it serves a purpose. Hopefully be able to lengthen out those increments between doing chain adjustments, and also avoid chain slap where we don't want it on downshifts and, you know, aggressive riding once that chain does loosen up a little bit. So other than that, forged carbon bits, pretty sweet, huh? Still waiting on our forged carbon front fender, but other than that, we should be all done with forged carbon pieces. I could be lying, but for now, that's all I can think of with the bike. It's where I want to leave it. So that's that. Still waiting on a bunch of billet stuff and some other custom parts, some Go Fast stuff. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget to subscribe so you catch all of that. And you can hit that bell notification, thumbs up, let me know how I did. Comment down below if you have any questions, concerns. Don't forget, I am selling those bag latches if you're interested. A little shameless plug there. My email is offweightgarage@yahoo.com. It's also in my bio on my YouTube. So any of my parts that you have seen that I'm not running anymore, I've still got them. They're sitting on the back of the swim step, and you take pictures of them and post them for sale. So if you guys are interested, let me know. And thank you guys for watching. Catch you in my next off week.